From Vermont Public, this is The Frequency. I'm Mitch Wertlieb. It's Tuesday, August 12th, and here are today's headlines. State regulators at the Green Mountain Care Board are reviewing budgets from Vermont's 14 hospitals over the next month. They've required hospitals to keep operating expenses and commercial insurance rates from increasing more than 3% from last year. For the most part, hospitals have complied, with a few exceptions. But several expect to lose money as a result and say they might have to close services. Tom Dee is the president of Southwestern Vermont Medical Center in Bennington. He recently spoke with state regulators.
This is probably the toughest budget we had to deal with in my 45-year career.
Dee says the hospital has had less patient volume than expected. They plan to give no bonuses and downsize their executive team. State regulators will make decisions on hospital budgets in mid-September. Construction has started on 40 new affordable housing units in Burlington. The new building is part of the Cambrian Rise neighborhood between the city's Old North End and New North End. The $24 million project was funded by a variety of state and federal sources. Rents are expected to average around $1,300 for a one-bedroom and $1,800 for a three-bedroom apartment. The Champlain Housing Trust says wait times for an apartment in its jurisdiction are over a year. A federal lawsuit seeks to overturn a New Hampshire law that could cost schools state funding if they pursue diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. The law was enacted as part of the new state budget. Civil liberties groups, New Hampshire's largest teachers union, and 4 school districts filed a suit against it last Thursday. They argue the law is too vague for districts to comply with and easy to unintentionally violate. Gilles Bissonnette is the legal director for the ACLU of New Hampshire. He says schools risk losing millions of dollars.
The penalties are massive.
The ACLU is also challenging the Trump administration's federal DEI restrictions in a separate lawsuit. And more young people in Quebec want the province to become independent, that according to a new public opinion poll. 56% of people in Quebec aged 18 to 34 now favor sovereignty, according to reporting by the Montreal Gazette. It's the second major opinion poll this summer to register a surge in support for Quebec independence among young people. And it comes as the pro-independence party Québécois continues to dominate the polls generally. But the Gazette also reports polls suggest a majority of residents still do not support Quebec's sovereignty. Coming up, a wooden booth nestled in a Norwich forest contains a landline phone that doesn't work, at least not in the traditional sense. It's there for people to speak with loved ones they may have lost. Vermont Public's Lexi Krupp has more after this. A science museum in Norwich is using its 100-acre forest as a resource to promote mental health. Vermont Public's Lexi Krupp visited on a recent summer day.
In the middle of a hemlock grove along the Connecticut River is an old landline phone set up in a wooden booth. It doesn't work, it's not connected to any phone line, but you can still pick it up and talk to someone you care about.
This wind phone invites you to express your thoughts and feelings to loved ones who have passed. Your words will be carried on the wind.
That's Nancy Marion. She's a board member at the Montshire Museum, where the phone is located. She used to paddle along the river here with her husband, Steve.
Is this where you would bring up the canoe?
Yes. There would be a little place where he could pull it up off the bank. And here's his sign.
Steve passed away last year. The wind phone is dedicated to him. There are phones like this set up all over the world to help people coping with grief. The one here was installed this summer, and it's part of a bigger project at the Montshire to reimagine its forest and how it could better serve visitors. Executive Director Laura Litchfield-Kimber says the idea came out of listening sessions, asking how the museum could help meet people's needs.
What kept coming up again and again and again was the need for support for mental health. And I think, COVID really brought that to light, the way people sought out our natural spaces.
There's a lot of research supporting the idea that engaging with nature is good for your brain. It can reduce depression and anxiety and increase feelings of hope. Litchfield-Kimber thought a science museum could be part of that too.
We have an opportunity to be a convening space where we can pull experts in, where we can tell their stories, but then also give people a place to practice and reflect on their own.
They're calling the initiative the Healing Forest. There's the wind phone and other installations along the trails that encourage visitors to go out in the woods and be more present. One section looks like a playground. You can drop wooden balls down ramps and towers made of stone and wood.
What we tried to do with it was to bring in a sound bathing aspect to it, so the sound of wood on wood. When you slow down to listen to this, it's really soothing.
Over the next year, they have plans to expand a wheelchair-accessible trail to the Connecticut River and build a meditation labyrinth. You have to buy a ticket to the museum to access these trails, but former Montshire director David Gowdy says they offer an approachable space for people to experience the natural world.
An awful lot of people don't think of themselves as hikers. They don't identify with going out on trails in the woods. So at Montshire, we create trails that are inviting to people that don't really quite yet feel comfortable doing that.
Recently, Gowdy has been leading bereavement walks at the museum and other trails in the area for a local hospice center. His wife Susan died a couple years ago, and the walks have been a big help. He hasn't used the wind phone here yet, but he's done something similar, writing a message to his wife on paper that dissolves in water. He says it's the same concept here.
You intentionally walk over there and you think of what I'm going to say now, and you pick up the phone and you have this little conversation. Even though it's kind of stupid, it's like this phone doesn't go anywhere. But there's something about it that really touches you. You feel it. I can't really explain it, but I can just tell you it really happens.
That thing that happens, he hopes other people experience it too, at this little phone booth in the woods. For Vermont Public, I'm Lexi Krupp in Norwich.
Thanks for listening to The Frequency today. We had additional reporting from Lexi Krupp, Alicia Fries, the New England News Collaborative, and Mark Davis. Today's episode was edited by Stephanie Colombini, and our music is by Blue Dot Sessions. I'm Mitch Wertlieb. Talk to you tomorrow.
These days, there's so much news, it can be hard to keep up with what it all means for you, your family, and your community. The Consider This podcast from NPR features our award-winning journalism. 6 days a week, we bring you a deep dive on a news story and provide the context and analysis that helps you make sense of the news. We get behind the headlines. We get to the truth. Listen to the Consider This podcast from NPR.